lovers, the moon is a thing of beauty. But to this man it is a deadly curse. When the moon is full, this miserable wretch turns into a hairy, snarling half-man, half-beast. Prowls the night, his fangs thirsty for human blood. He is a werewolf.
Hello and welcome to the Werewolf by Night podcast, the show where we talk about Marvel's #1 lycanthrope, Jack Russell, a.k.a. the Werewolf, a.k.a. the Beast, a.k.a. the Shaggy One. I'm your co-host, Matt Howell.
And I'm Jacob Balcom.
And we're joined again by the show's good friend, Brad Elmore. Welcome back, Brad.
Oh, nice to be here.
Thanks for joining us again. We always love to talk about comics with you. We had you back especially for Giant Size Werewolf #4, because the first of 2 book-length thrillers features Morbius the Living Vampire. We know you're a big fan of his, so we want to talk a little bit about what appeals to you about that character and your history with him.
Yeah, all right. I think if you come into comic books the superhero route, you're probably always going to have pet characters as a kid. You know, like everybody's kind of got them. Like you pick up the issue of the thing and there's just one minor character that just kind of stands out. And when you see them again, you're just kind of glom onto them. You know, I think it's usually based around a visual element or one little soap opera element, you know, like Demo Goblin sacrificing himself to save a little child. And, you know, and you're like, I don't know what Demo Goblin is, but awesome. And now you kind of like are hooked on that character or something, you know?
Yeah.
And with Morbius, I think my first exposure was, and one of the first comics I ever had was, I think, the Maximum Carnage, which I can't remember what part it was. It's issue 308 of Spider-Man, I believe, right? And he just comes bursting through the torch in the Statue of Liberty while Venom's being tortured, you know, by Carnage. And he's like a vampire and he looks like a monster. I just thought that was really bitchin'. And all these tiny little things started to coalesce in my life kind of all around the same, like 2-3 years of like becoming fixated on vampires, you know, but fixated on vampires specifically, not as terror elements, but as sort of like anti-heroes. Because by the time Morbius crashes with that torch, he's not necessarily a villain. He's sort of this misunderstood anti-hero figure that Marvel was trying to truck in more and more, especially at the time. Now, I think Maximum Carnage is 94, 95, right?
That
and then I
sounds right.
see, yeah, and I'm like, oh, this Morbius character, like him. So when I go and I pick up stray issues of things like the Midnight Suns or something like that, I'd see Morbius. I just liked he's like a vampire, but he's a good guy. I just thought that was really fun. He was like Lorenzo Lamas in Renegade. And the reason why I say that is because the title Renegade popped on once and I was sitting with my grandma and the show looked cool. And I was like, Grandma, what's a renegade? And she's like, it's a bad person who does good things. That was her definition. And so when I was a little kid, that was my definition. And I was like, oh, he's like Renegade, you know? He's cool. He's like a bad guy, but he does good things, right? So I see Interview with the Vampire, which is also sort of like vampires as the main character, anti-heroes. That has a huge effect on me as a kid. I mean, I was obsessed with that movie. It sort of combined everything I liked about like rock culture and all that kind of stuff. All the stuff that I was already kind of into as a kid. And it was like the bad guys were the main characters. Loved it. And then there's Antonio Banderas in that movie playing Armand.
Oh, yeah. Wow. I forgot that.
And and to me, visually, I was like, he's Morbius. It was almost like this direct sort of like, holy shit, that's what Morbius would look like in the real world, you know? So that kind of hit me. And then the other this is really weird. The other big one was the Marvel trading cards that they were big on in the mid-90s, where I got a lot of my comic book education because comic shops weren't readily available to me. I was always picking up strays in 7-Elevens and things like that, right? You know, when I didn't start going to a comic book store properly till maybe a couple of years later, right? So the trading cards and the backs of the trading cards that would explain the arcs and the origins of things was how I like filled in all these gaps to understand all these characters of these titles I was picking up. I don't know if you guys were young enough for that when that was around. but it was like a huge deal. Like on the playground, like people were trading those things, you know, like they were a hot item. If you had a full set of like the X-Men, the Fleer X-Men, like you were the king of the playground, right?
Yeah.
and you probably had rich parents, right? Like the people who just had the full set because their parents bought them a box. Meanwhile, I'd be like buying one pack at a time, hoping I can get some that glow in the dark, you know, Ghost Rider skull or some shit. But the 94 Flair trading card, which I still have, of Morbius, it was released by Fleer, but it's called Flair. It's the Flair series, and they did 94 and 95. 95 is all garbage. But the image on that, well, just kind of coincided with my love of Interview with the Vampire, with my discovery of this character and all this kind of stuff. But that image I thought was so striking and so cool and looked like a movie to me, like a movie poster jumping out at you. And I was just like, this is the coolest character of all fucking time. I was just so into the whole thing. This is before, you know, they changed his costume for the 90s, so he's more leather. Mm-hmm. And that whole thing would be sort of jettisoned into popularity with things like Blade, The Matrix, and stuff like that. But in 1994, it was still kind of the purview of more fringe things, you know? Like
The Crow or something.
Yeah, exactly. The Crow is like would be the popular example and probably the first one to bring it that hardcore into the mainstream. And then it would be ran into the ground, and now it's the most ridiculous aesthetic of all time. But at the time, and especially as a kid, it was just the coolest thing. And then like the next year, Desperado comes out, and Desperado is Antonio Banderas. And I was like, oh my God, they need to make a Morbius movie with Antonio Banderas. I was a little kid. But the first movie I ever wrote, I believe, would be my adaptation of a Morbius movie, like how to do a Morbius movie when I was like, I don't know, 11, 12. And it was more, I didn't know what a script was or how anything focused on anything. I didn't know how any of that shit worked. So it was more like just me describing the movie, what would be in it. So it was like a treatment. I wouldn't have been able to call it that at a time.
Yeah.
But like in lurid detail described this Morbius movie and had it. I also sort of give myself a little credit, keenly understood that, well, Spider-Man can't be in this, you know, like you got to do like Batman. You got to like just take the character and remove it and just make a movie. Like what would the Morbius movie be like, you know, divorced from that? And it's just about a science vampire who's Antonio Banderas shooting other vampires in the face, you know? And it was and so
not too late. He's still alive.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. Don't even get me started. But I really, really was just fixated on that character. And then like really quickly after that, my whole perception of comics sort of changed, you know, like it just happened almost like boom, boom, boom. I actually got access to a comic book shop, and it was like, you know, very quickly, I started pursuing writers and non-superhero comics pretty fast right after that. But in that little pocket, whenever I could get to a comic book shop, I would always hunt down the Morbius stuff. And I also still have the Morbius issue number. I think it's 12 or 13. That's it's a parchment cover. So the cover's made of like it's solid black parchment with like a gold emboss on it.
Oh, is that like supposed to look like the Darkhold, that issue?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so cool, and I loved that. I loved that as a kid. That whole series, that comic's not great. I maintain that there's not actually a great Morbius comic, just period. But I don't care. I just loved him so much as a kid, and he filled my imagination up so much as a kid, so that I just always loved him. And then as I got later as I got into older comics and the history of comics, I became really into his vintage design, which was just disco superhero Dracula or supervillain Dracula, like very much. I mean, I think just that it's the most groovy, ridiculous thing. And I sort of balk at the sort of leather 90s design now, although now that is starting to come back for me too and have its merits, to be honest.
Yeah.
But the retro groovy first appearance of Morbius is Morbius at Maxima. For me now, those first two issues, and then I sort of just have an immense nostalgia for his iterations after that, I guess. So that kind of sums it up for me, and it weirdly connects to Antonio Banderas. But as a person who eventually made a vampire movie about a bunch of vampires who are not the bad guys but more anti-heroes, I would say that it had to be, there's something that led me there, in some way. That's one rock in the river that divides the path, I'm sure. That's not a saying, Brad, but whatever.
No, they're renegades.
They're renegades.
Warriors against the patriarchy.
Yeah.
I dig it. Thank you. And I'm sure you're super excited about the Jared Leto movie coming out. No, I'm not. It's a weird time we live in, fellas. Like, they made a Venom movie, which just blows my mind. But it's like, oh, well, that always moved T-shirts, merch, and there's like an immense outside of the comic book purview understanding of him as an idea or a concept. So I'm like, I guess that makes sense. But I remember the moment they announced like Will Smith as Deadshot. I was like, you're telling me the biggest star of all time is playing Deadshot? Like, we're in a totally new ball game now. Yeah.
And they're like, well, clearly Morbius needs $180 million movie. And my hesitancy is based around what I think a lot of people's is, which is I just don't like Jared Leto. I don't think that if the movie's just a popcorn movie about Morbius, because I don't want to shit on that. It's like, just let people have their fun. But Jared Leto isn't a bad actor. I don't think so. I think when people say that, I think it's just like, well, I just look at his work, I actually think he can be quite good. Mm-hmm. It's just that Jared Leto is Jared Leto, the person.
The TM.
There's just a whole lot going on there that I do not care for, and it sort of sours I'm sick of the comic book movies to begin with, but to be honest, because I just give it a fucking rest, and I have my reasons, but for these IP machines just chugging along, spending billions, not paying creators that should be making them, whatever. But the little kid part of me that sees the trailer for Let There Be Carnage and just kind of giggles and goes, I mean, yeah, I'll be there. It's sort of ruined for me with Morbius. I don't have just the come on, they're making a Morbius movie. Like, come on, don't be so cynical. Just have a good time. I can't make that leap. And it's sad because if it was like anyone else, I'd be like, yeah, all right, you got my money. Because I've sort of cut myself off from superhero films, but I will be watching Let There Be Carnage on edibles, like I told you guys. And I also, and the other one that got my money without, it's so cynical, but I would be lying to say that I'm not going to go see it, is they're putting Michael Keaton back as Batman. And I'm like, all right, you got me, you fucks. Like, I'll watch that one. Like,
what is that project?
Some Flash movie, but Michael, you haven't heard about that?
No.
Yeah, it's the Flash movie.
Yeah, Michael Keaton's going to play Batman again. Like,
Did
full
they
stop
recast
Batman.
Flash from the Justice League?
I don't really know or care, but I don't really like any of that crap. That movie could be it could be called Happy Meal the movie, but Michael Keaton's Batman is going to be in it. I'm going to see that. That's the first movie I ever saw in theater, was the 89 Batman. I have such a love for it. And I just, as much as I'm just like, screw these fucking movies. It's like Michael Keaton's playing Batman is something that's going to get my... You've sold my ticket. God damn it. I can't help myself.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
I'll probably check that out. And I can't stand that kid that plays the Flash.
Yeah, word.
Okay. Cool. And Jacob, can you talk a little bit about the publishing history of Morbius up to this point? So he appeared in Spider-Man, and one of the first tales written without Stan Lee, right?
It's Roy Thomas and Gil Kane. Morbius debuts in Spider-Man 101 from October of 1971. And it's a good story. And Gil Kane's design is just so cool. I'm totally in agreement with you, Brad. I love his costume, and it shouldn't work. I shouldn't love it. I should laugh at it, but I love it. And when they stray for it in the different iterations of Morbius I've read, recently, just kind of preparing for this. Whenever they stray from that costume, I'm just like, fuck this. I don't take it seriously.
Like when he's dressed like a Cenobite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after Spider-Man, I think maybe it went to Vampire Tales. I can't remember if it was Vampire Tales or Adventures into Fear. Vampire Tales was a magazine, I think from 73. And he was in an ongoing Morbius, the Living Vampire, and it was written by Steve Gerber and illustrated by Pablo Marcos. And it's beautiful. Like that, I think if I was to choose a favorite, it would probably be that. I've really enjoyed reading it. All of the Vampire Tales issues are on Marvel Unlimited now. And yeah, they're great. And he's kind of sporadically appeared ever since, like you were saying, Brad, the Midnight Sun stuff. He would have his own title for a while, then go away. Yeah, the last one I read was Joe Keating did I think it was a 9-issue Morbius series, maybe 2013, 2014. And that was really good. I really liked that. But I'm a big Joe Keating fan.
How long did he have? Did he have that Adventures into Fear or whatever, Adventure into Fear title?
I think that's 7, 8 or 8 issues.
Okay, and that immediately precedes the story we talk about tonight, right?
Yes, yeah. The last issue of that, flows right into this story from Giant Size Werewolf 4.
Okay, should we dig in?
Definitely.
So this is Giant Size Werewolf number 4 with a pull date of April 1975. If you recall, this is the first Giant Size that's going to have no filler in the back, no reprints from the Atlas Timely era. This is all Werewolf, all new stories. So it's 68 big pages.
We're gonna use the word story lightly here.
Yeah. Thank you for that call out.
Yeah, let's just get that out of the way right up at the top of the episode.
So this cover is drawn by the great Gil Kane, and it's either inked by Dan Adkins or Mike Esposito. They're not certain. And it features Morbius swooping in, almost like Glitter Knight, through the air, down on the Beast. And the Beast is mired in a quagmire of tar. And we find out later that he is at the La Brea tar pits. So there's a blood red sky. The vampire is very menacing looking. But, you know, you guys love his costume, so I'll keep my stuff to a minimum. But, I mean, he looks kind of like a weird Nightwing, like he's like a Flying Grayson, but like goth.
That's fair.
Problem?
Yeah.
Like what part of that sentence was the negative part of that sentence?
Okay, so he's wearing like a
he looks like a disco vampire.
onesie,
it's terrible.
And he has
awesome.
He has red arm wings, like the way Spider-Man has underarm webs. His are just solid red, and he has a very big pop red collar.
A very
plunging. Yes, collar. And plunging,
very plunging neckline. Yes, it's scooped down to his navel. It's rock and roll. It's Freddie Mercury. It's glam. It's cool. That's why I like it. Like
it's Baryshnikov glam.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So on the text front here, we have all new 2 blockbusting book-length full moon thrillers. Panic in the La Brea tar pits as Night Beast battles Night Stalker. Morbius, the living vampire. And at the bottom, it says extra. Macabre mystery confronts the werewolf on the night the moon dripped blood. And just a note before we dive into this story, we were going to just kind of glide over the second story, and Jacob and I spoke over the week and said, you know what, this actually deserves its own time. So we're going to just break this up into 2 episodes.
They glided over that story. So I feel like you can as well.
I actually really enjoyed the second story, so I wanted to give it some attention and not just kind of say, oh, and by the way, there was another issue. So, so we'll be doing that next week. We'll break this up into 2 episodes, but even though they promised last Giant Size that they were not going to be using reprints anymore, there was only one more Giant Size issue, number 5, and that was the end, and they already had fallen back to reprinting a bunch of Atlas stuff. So the final Giant Size episode will just be 1 normal episode. So this is the one anomaly here in our publishing schedule. All right, Jacob, so what do you think of this cover, this Kane?
You know, I think it's okay. I don't think it's Gil Kane's best. I think the werewolf looks the most Hulk-like to me somehow. And I mean, at least in the coloring on the digital, he is almost a yellowish green, and his pants are a yellowish green. It's not my favorite depiction of the Beast, and not my favorite Gil Kane, but Morbius looks good. I like the tar pits. Just an aside, so we're right in the middle of a long run of Gil Kane covers. Like, I think, let's see, the last cover not done by Kane was, I think 23 was Ron Wilson. So I did a count, and totally in the series, Gil Kane does 17 covers of the main title and all four of the giant-sized werewolf ones. And it's Mike Ploog only did 12 covers.
Wow.
So Gil Kane is, he does have the record for most covers drawn on this. And funny, Don Perlin only did 2, even though he is by far the most prolific artist of the series. But yeah, he only did two covers himself.
Not counting giant-sized chillers or creatures.
Yeah, giant-sized creatures. I thought that was Ron Wilson.
Oh, I thought that one was Perlin too. Okay, you're probably right.
Yeah, I don't know. As far as this cover goes, it's middling to me. What do you think, Brad?
It's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
It elicits no strong opinion from me at all. Like, it's fine. There's a promise of a fight on the cover, and 12 years old and 75, I'd buy that.
Oh yeah, and you're right, Jacob. The Beast does look very Cro-Mag.
Yeah, he doesn't look like that a whole lot. This is a pretty unique depiction, and I'm gonna kind of blame that on. I think this is Adkins inks personally, and so yeah, I blame Dan Adkins and his amazing tracing machine.
So one thing I would like to say before we dive in is that we were groaning last week about this giant size and we've been groaning about the giant size the whole time. But I was excited when I cracked this open and said, "Oh yeah, that's right. There's different artists." So they didn't just Shane Perlin to a table and make him crank out this shit. Like, they actually got fresh artists to come in and do it, and I appreciated it. I was pleasantly surprised. This one read a lot better than I remembered it.
Me too. And yeah, we should just go to the opening page and talk about the creators. So
yeah,
the creators, the title of this story is A Meeting of Blood, written by Doug Munch. Our new artist for this issue is Virgil Redondo. Marcos P. is the letterer. Don Warfield, again, is our colorist. And Len Wein is editor.
Both Doug and Len made... What was the artist's name again? I apologize.
Virgil Redondo?
Yeah.
Virgil Redondo. Both Len and especially Munch. I've always felt wrong saying Munch. That's his name? Okay, so, am I saying it wrong? But they both made sure that you could see as little of that man's art as possible.
Yes.
By covering it in more words than have ever been put into a comic book before.
Yeah.
Even for the standards, even for the Bronze Age standard of that, right? It's a bit much. Mm-hmm. It's like practically a prose story.
Yeah, it definitely
both parts.
is. No, for sure. And a little about Virgil Redondo. His name is Virgilio Redondo. He was born in 1926 in the Philippines, and I've talked at length on this podcast about my love for the Filipino artists. And he was the oldest of 8 Redondo kids, and he was the first to work as an illustrator. But once his little brother Nestor got old enough to start drawing, Virgil saw how amazing he was and was just like, you know what, I'm just going to be a writer. So he was most famous in the Philippines as a writer. And yeah, that would be a little weird if your little brother turned out to basically be Jack Kirby. Like, Nestor Redondo is Jack Kirby of the Philippines. He was very famous, very respected. And yeah, his work was and is amazing. Yeah, but in the 70s, Virgil did do a little bit of art for Marvel. His best stuff was done for the black and white magazines like Vampire Tales or Tales of the Zombie. And he did some work on Planet of the Apes, Matt. He inked some of Herb Trimpe's issues, I think 26 and 28.
That might be why the Trimpe looks so good in those.
Yeah, true. That could definitely add to it. So it's funny. So he's basically the third Redondo brother that everyone knows. Everyone knows Nestor first, then Frank or Kiko Redondo, and then Virgil. And
he's Peter Tork.
He's Peter Tork, and he's the no frills, like, solid enough artist. And I think that he does
Peter Tork.
Yeah, he's Peter Tork. You're right. I mean, there is no other way of saying it. But I feel like he could kind of mold his art to fit the job. And so I think he's doing a respectable Perlin copy, honestly, on this. I don't think any of the things that I've seen of his from the black and white magazines, this isn't really his style. I think he just came in. He's like, sure. I mean, Don Perlin's great. I can do that. And he did. And the art is really good. It's not amazing, but it's by no means terrible.
It also has to draw that script.
Yes, exactly. The very wordy script.
And what it does well is everything's really clear.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the storytelling is really clear. There's nothing in it that's going to knock your socks off, but I don't think any of the problem issue is the art, you know?
No.
No.
And much like Perlin, I really like the way that he draws Martine's face. Like Perlin has a very magical way with faces. I don't know if he's cribbing somebody else's style or what, but I also like the way that Redondo did her face and hair too. Very attractive.
You know, it's funny you say that, Matt, because as we've gone on and read so many Perlin issues, you know, I read a lot of comics throughout the week. I read a lot of older comics, and I keep thinking I'm going to run across the artist and be like, oh, that's who Don Perlin is kind of doing. But honestly, his style is fairly unique on the whole.
Mm.
Like
Okay.
you can see shades of different artists there, but yeah, he kind of does his own thing.
He rocks on Ghost Rider.
Yeah, absolutely. He's great on that title.
He just, when he shows up on that book, like on the titles he takes over or the issues he takes over, I think that's some of his. It's like, oh, I gotta, you know, I pay attention a little bit. I think that's a good example of his work in the monthlies.
Yeah, when Perlin gets into an issue too, it's a treat. You can see when he gets excited about something he's doing or when he has proper time. I'm not sure what's going on, but he sings when he's feeling it.
Yeah, you can really see that in the issues that he's doing right now at Marvel at this time when he's doing the War is Hell issues. It almost makes me think that he might have needed a break. He might have needed a break this issue because the stuff he's doing in War is Hell is it's 10 times more detailed than his Werewolf by Night books. Like it just had to take him a really fucking long time. But they look so gorgeous. So yeah, he probably needed a well-deserved vacation at this point.
Yeah.
So this opening page, is very Perlin, very workmanlike. The story opens with a familiar scene of Jack Russell hunched in an alleyway, starting to transform. And on
Why
that
an
third
alleyway?
Yeah, I don't know. He seems to love those, you know, because they're private.
Was he planning to turn in an alleyway, Jacob, or did that just happen? Just sneak up on him?
I don't know. I feel like this is a leading question, Matt.
When our hero doesn't know that he's going to turn into a werewolf and has to find a quick place to change, like Superman, we take a drink.
That's right. Drink time.
There's a lot of drinks in this, by the way, so hope nobody's driving.
Yeah. And yeah, we have that third panel is Jack is, I mean, that's literally half and half. His face is half Jack Russell, half werewolf. And what do you guys think of that?
I love it. It's the first time we've seen him, like, he's elongated. It's like American Werewolf in London. Like, it's the first time where he's actually morphing instead of just growing hair.
Yeah. The angle is really cool, too. Yeah, you can imagine. Yeah, you're right. American Werewolf in London, absolutely.
I appreciate the in media res of this first page of just being like, listen, nobody cares. We're just starting him out, like, into, like, you don't need to know why or what. He's werewolfing right now.
Yeah.
It probably was a desperate situation, and now we're here. And it's like, oh, cool, that's brevity of some kind. I like that. And then, unfortunately, the page, I believe the first page, breaks the Guinness World Record for most words that you can put on a page.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And every page after that was also nominated and took said award. It was a difficult year for the Guinness Committee, you know.
But there were some interesting words, like in this panel we're talking about. He says that each time that he felt his soul raped by the moon, yet the transformation the pain escalated with each transformation. So I like that little touch that Munch threw in there. Like, not only does it hurt and it's like you're being turned inside out, but it gets worse each time. It's the opposite of what you would hope or think it would be.
Yeah, it's true. I had never thought of that before, but yeah, it says which escalated, which each month's transformation.
Yeah,
I would love to see this comic with just the dialogue. I'm not even joking. I'm not even joking.
Just as a prose story?
No. All the art, but just the dialogue taken out. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
Oh, just the dialogue taken out. Okay, yeah.
I think it would actually be quite compelling. Like no caption boxes.
Okay,
just
right,
the
gotcha.
dialogue. because there's very few bits of dialogue in it.
Yeah.
And it's I wouldn't say it would make it great.
Yeah.
But it would be a lot more compelling.
It would be an improvement.
I got to say, this is probably the weakest issue I've read for an episode I've done with you guys, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And so much as it doesn't even have a lot of peculiarities to kind of parse through. You know how sometimes you got like really, really. I'm just eating kids here, don't worry. But that poor
kid alone.
Yeah, jeez.
Hey, Elmore, leave that kid alone.
Yeah, I'm sitting on the porch of my apartment, and this poor kid just does not want to go with his grandpa to their destination. Anyway, what the hell was I talking about? Probably wasn't important.
You were saying this was the weakest story you've read with us so far, and there's no peculiarities to really latch onto or something.
Yeah, it doesn't even have the just blistering weirdness to be like, oh, this is not maybe the best well-written thing, but can you believe how bananas it all is? This one's it's like a meat and then a part and then a meat. It reminds me of like the Hunter issues in structure where it's just what's that guy, the fetish wearing executioner, what's his name?
Hangman?
How could you forget the Hangman, Brad?
I know. I'm so sorry. It reminded me of a Hangman issue in the structure of it, where the Hangman's just kind of there. Werewolf just happens to, his plot intersects with the werewolf. They tussle, they part, they tussle again. Because Jack Russell catches up on the scent of something he's not invested in, nor does he care about. And then just kind of gets his ass beaten up by just literally snooping, you know?
Yeah.
I was just going to say, it almost felt to me like this is a repurposed story. Like this felt like this could have been the next issue of Adventure into Fear featuring Werewolf by Night. Because, I mean, Jack's almost a MacGuffin who just bumps into him and causes these things to happen. And he just goes on his merry way without even – it's like when somebody almost hits you with their car and you're laying on the horn going, you motherfucker, you almost killed me. And they're like,
that is exactly what I thought. Like, this is much more of a Morbius story than a Werewolf by Night story. Werewolf by Night, he's an afterthought. He is the MacGuffin. So it's weird that this is the lead story.
Jack Russell is the MacGuffin in his own stories a lot too.
I know.
But at least again, there's like really weird decisions being made. No. Like, and this one's just so bland in that regard. That
there's no souls and black eggs, nothing to latch on.
No ladies in the basement, no guy saying that Gary Cooper turned him into a fetish monster. You know, like
the Gary Cooper defense.
But like, you know what I'm talking about? It just
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
No, this is a really boring issue. So we should try and plow through this thing.
Okay. I think once we get going, are you done with this page, Jacob?
Yes.
Okay, I was just going to say at the end there it says first night, and it says he's changed. He's turning his shirt off. An $8 shirt, by the way, which is just fucking ruined now. And his nostrils flare in disgust with the squalor of his environment. And I like that Munch picked this up in this thing. He'll drop stuff for a while and not think about it, like how the werewolf processes his environment. And then he'll pick up on it and do a cool thing for an issue and then just put it back in a drawer and not think about it again for 4 issues. But I like this thing where his, scent, which is 4,000 times more intense than a human's, is disgusted because he's in an alley filled with rotting garbage. And he's pissed off. So the next page.
Sorry, real quick. If you were to take like a Frank Miller, it just shows you how good Frank Miller is at doing this. Mm-hmm. Which is like because I think Doug Munch is actually a good writer and gets better, but just taking those things down to the best, boiling them down to the best little pieces. Like just if there were 3 caption boxes and they all had 1 sentence each, like another violation of the moon on Jack Russell's body. His nostrils flare, disgusted with his environment. And you have all those images that it looked like that. It'd be like, that's breakneck pacing, and you're in, and it's got you. And instead it's like, and on Tuesday of the 1975, the year of our Lord or whatever, it's
a lot of words.
A lot of, like all of them, all the words that ever worded are in this fucking page.
So he lashes out at his environment by knocking over some garbage cans, angrily storms out of the alleyway. he runs past a pool hall, and there's a bunch of toughs out there that look like Central Casting toughs in the 70s. Like they all have matching jackets on.
Matching satin jackets.
In the digital version, they all have
it's purple.
They're just outside of a bar. There's no implied criminality, but they all have purple jackets on. Is it the same? Does anybody know if that's the same anywhere else? Is it because the digital copy, they're all in purple shirts.
It's all in purple, pinkish jackets. Yeah,
they're all
Pinky
uniform.
Tuscadero.
Yeah, they're all uniform in that. And I'm like, oh, is this? They missed an opportunity. They should have been like the purple shirt gang.
Yeah,
like, they should have been an actual thing. It reminds me of when he ran into all those like.
That's what I was gonna say. We got to get to Muscle Beach.
Beach. All the guys in their banana hammocks doing midnight weightlifting on the beach. That is the wildest issue I've ever read of a comic.
My favorite.
It's just. Sorry, go ahead.
So I
just noticed that too.
Believe me, these asides and these little exchanges are going to be what's the good part of the episode.
Yeah.
So these toughs are standing outside the pool hall talking about some fight they're getting in, trying to talk tough. There's a nice panel. It's a close-up of the beast growling. And I like the way that Redondo draws him with these kind of pointed, longer ears and blood red eyes. It's just kind of a nice change of pace from Perlin.
I got to also add, I'm so sorry. This is my favorite part of the issue outside of like one more element. I actually think this is a thing that the other issues don't do enough, where he's scary. For the love of Pete, they actually made him do a thing. These people aren't doing anything wrong. They don't go, what is that, a beast? Throw a shoe at him. Like, what that guy looks drunk. Hit him with your pool stick, like they usually do in the thing where they can't even tell if it's a werewolf. He just straight up viciously attacks these guys.
No, and they're just minding their own business, singing the doo-wop song together. And
yeah. And so, they go, huh? What was that? And he starts growling. And his narration says, I saw more filth and fear filled its face. And I like this he has this little like taxi driver kind of rant about how humanity is disgusting. So he just lunges at them and charges. They fell back, stumbling over their fear as though it were a tangible obstacle. They look like those 35-year-old gang toughs you see outside of pool halls.
Yeah. And they get chased off.
Yeah, they do.
Normally in a Werewolf by Night issue, one guy will judo throw our titular character and defeat him with the powers of being a regular ass person.
Yeah.
And in this, he actually is like, I'm like, I wish this was in the main title more. Like, he's actually scary and dangerous, can do things that aren't just beneficial to his needs, that are like, oh, I did a bad thing, but you kind of needed to do that thing,
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no, this is something that'd be like, I don't want to turn into a werewolf. I just attacked like 6 dudes unprovoked, and God knows what I would have done with them. And the werewolf hates people. Like that. I took a note being like, oh, Doug, you did good right here. You did good.
He did. He hates the people and he hates the cans in that second page. And so, and on the next page, he really tears into these guys, like slashes their faces. Like it's kind of fucked up.
No judo throws.
Yeah, no judo throws. It is all werewolf, slashes and tears. And we get some very Munchin narration where the werewolf watched them with atavistic disdain. They were not worth pursuit.
I love that. I had to note that as well.
Oh, it's such a good line. They take off. And then on the bottom panels, we switch direction and see a blonde woman walking down the street, kind of like a zombie, which we'll learn in a minute that's Martine.
Yeah, can you read that sentence after the atavistic disdain for me?
The not with freedom.
They were not worth. Yeah, read that.
Yeah. Not with freedom just around the corner. Oh, yes. Not with the forest hiding somewhere amidst all this sprawling city.
Yeah.
There we go. Drink to that. Well, at least he's saying that the forest is hiding somewhere in the city, which I kind of liked that too. Like, as wordy as this is, there were a number of lines that I was like, I kind of wish that was in the main title a little bit.
The forest, that's right next to the La Brea tar pits.
Yeah, exactly. You know the one.
That's what I love. I love that too.
Where the teddy bears have their picnic.
Yeah.
I love this guy in the upper right-hand corner of the page. That's one of the gang guys who's running away. He looks like Foggy Nelson meets Lon Chaney Sr. in The Phantom of the Opera. Very weird drawing of that dude.
That is one of the best descriptions you have ever done. And it is so accurate. It is exactly what that guy looks like.
Thank you. So as this spaced out woman is walking down the city streets, she is watched from the rooftop by our other main character, Morbius. And he says, it's her. At last, after months of long searching, I found her. And he swoops down, much like kind of Glitter Knight. We jokingly call it flying squirrel attack or whatever. He swoops down, and he seems to be able to soar kind of freely like he is gliding. Does he glide or fly? Do we know?
Well, he has hollow bones. So
yeah, I know that from later. But,
there's some gliding going on. There has to be.
So it's just like he has bones like a long shot. And
I can't remember how this works, but later on it's that he has psionic sort of flight abilities.
Oh,
all right.
But I don't know. I think that's a later like explanatory deal. I don't think that's from the jump, but his sort of like swoopy flight pattern stuff. Flying squirrel is a good way to call it. It's always been was really nebulous at this time. Like, can he just straight up fly, or is he, you know? And why could he fly since he's a science bat guy? Like he's bit by the bat, but the bat flies because the bat has wings. Whatever.
Yeah.
So he lands above this woman on top of a awning, and he says, "Martine, it's me. Do you remember me? Do you remember who I am? I was your fiance. I'm Morbius."
It's a great introduction.
Starburst. And I'm not going to do his accent. I was so put off the first time I ever saw him in the Spider-Man cartoon in the 90s. I was like, oh, that's right. He's European, so he would talk like that.
Yeah.
I believe he's Greek in the comics, right?
Yes.
The comics, he's Greek. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and then after he gives us that big introduction, Morbius kind of starts explaining to her that she's still recovering from Damon's spell. Is that how you would pronounce that, Matt?
Yeah, Damon.
Damon, yeah. And so that was...
Can we address really fast the fact that he announces himself as by his last name?
That's right.
To
his fiance.
I mean, like, can you imagine jumping down on something like, it is me, Elmore? It would be so bizarre.
It'd be a little weird.
It would be a little weird. And it'd be one thing if Morbius was a name he chose later. Like, oh no, he's no longer Michael,
right,
Mick Greek man or whatever. He's Morbius, the living vampire. Mm-hmm. Like, no, nobody's actually. He doesn't know he has his own title. Like, the character's not aware of that. I just think that's such a bizarre little detail that he just hops down with that. And it's like, it's me, Morbius. Like, wouldn't you say, oh, Martine, baby?
Yeah.
It's me. It's Michael. Michael Morbius. No, he's like, I'm gonna make sure you understand that I'm totally on the level by screaming my last name at you, while also being dressed like a disco vampire.
Yeah, it's all the weirder, like you said, because it's his fiance, But to be fair, she is kind of zombified, and he goes on to describe to her that that this guy Damon possessed her mind. And now he's dead, so his control is shattered. And then in that middle panel, which I kind of like that they just have one flashback explanatory panel. Like, it's very economical storytelling. And it's kind of depicts the battle between Damon and the caretakers, who are kind of like we're saying, like the committee of the Morbius title. And so, yeah, there's a battle there. He just is very straightforward. He's like, you escaped from it, and you've been wandering in shock ever since. He does say, it's taken me months to find you, Martine. And then you can kind of see, I love the depiction of Martine in that last panel, too. It's really, really beautiful. And she says, Damon, yes, I remember him. Remember his eyes boring into my soul, sucking me dry. I remember him. So, yeah, things are starting to come to.
Now, it is funny that I agree that it was nice they put that whole flashback into one panel with a bunch of exposition, but this story looks infinitely more interesting than the one we're reading.
Yeah, it is. I read it, and it is. It's confusing, though.
Yeah, well, Brad, you're right. Now that I'm thinking about it, his name is Morbius. That is totally convenient.
It's his last name.
It's like in the George Lucas stuff where it's like, is it cool if my name's Vader? and Insidious and Maul.
Yeah,
because I'm an evil guy.
Yeah.
Or do they choose those names?
See, because like in sports you call people none of that stuff that you just said exists to me. Star Wars is Star Wars, Empire, and Jedi, and there is no Sidious in those movies. I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. There's not even the words Palpatine. All that shit's not there. If it didn't happen between those frames, it didn't happen.
I prefer your way of looking at the world. Trust me. So to help jog this stuff loose, he tells her more about them and their relationship, and he's talking about how he was this Nobel Prize winning scientist and he had a really upsetting pig nose, and they went on a cruise together and he developed a rare blood disorder during his work, and then he injected himself with these enzymes from bat blood, and that seemed to have backfired and made his condition worse and essentially turned him into a living vampire. And so he had a circus clown disco outfit with him on the cruise, fortunately, so he could just put this on and then dive into the water so she didn't have to see his pallid, ghastly face.
It's a cruise they're on. See, because they're in that panel, I'm like, are they visiting Cloudland from Mario 3? Where the fuck are we? It is such a bizarre break in coloring and like even style.
It is the white from the cruise ship.
Yes,
the white with his lab coat, and then
it's like it's almost like framed by clouds a little bit. There's like a weird telenovela quality to it.
Yeah, but it's almost the same layout as the previous page, where the flashback all takes place in that good. One big. Yeah, the last one is good. This one is confusing.
One panel.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like the color lets you know there's a difference in time, but it also feels like of the issue. It's like suddenly there's like this, everything just brightens up to a really weird degree. I felt like, if you're especially telling the backstory of a like murdering vampire, like I'm like, wow, this is weird. This is a strange choice. And I wonder like if there was some other, if the colorist did it a different way, could have made it a little bit more moodier and somber. Would have been maybe a better choice. I don't know.
Yeah,
there's something really bizarre to me about it. Like
Jacob,
agreed.
You read the early appearances to kind of brush up, right?
Yeah,
the Spider-Man. I mean, what his nose didn't change? Like in the Spider-Man cartoon in the 90s, when he injected himself, like he became more bat-like. But on this one, he clearly just has a pig nose and a soul patch before he ever did anything to himself.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's the case in the Spider-Man issues. Even though those are also those two issues are when Spider-Man has 8 limbs.
Oh yes, that's a classic.
So I'm always way more distracted by that, but just every panel being like, oh God.
Yeah. Yes, he's jogging her memory and saying, I have this bloodlust now and I didn't want to hurt you, so I ran away.
I do like that he has to remind her. He's just like, knew that Morbius, the award-winning biochemist, he just has to fit that brag in.
Yeah.
Again, to his fiance, who should already know all this. And then, on the next page, she's like, oh, I remember now, all of it. Michael, please hold me. And so, he kind of heads down to her. They have this embrace. And she says, oh, Michael, it's been a nightmare, a long nightmare without end. And then, like you said, Brad, there's 2 panels at the bottom that are over 50% narration and dialogue. Like there's just barely any
and it's all nonsense.
It is. Well, it's just all unnecessary.
Yeah.
Just like, nonsense.
No, it is.
Yammering, prattling on about what you can already see.
Exactly. I'll read the last one. It says it descends then without warning because he's embracing her and his fangs are nearing her neck. And so then this narration says it descends then without warning, a hollow pang spiking the center of his empty being, a fierce lust coursing through the veins like fires of ice. Fires of ice. That should be really cool, but it's actually really stupid.
Yeah, it's again, like, because I took a lot of time looking at this and I started to imagine it without the words. And I'm sure you do it too. I do it with a lot of these older comics to just kind of see what that would feel like. And in this, it's like, it would be way more compelling. Just, you see the fangs, you see the look in his eyes, and then you see him withdraw. And if there was no words to describe any of that, you'd know exactly what happened.
Yeah.
what he's dealing with, and you'd just be zipping through, and it would take this very slight story, because it's a very slight story, but it'd give it like this cracking pace.
Yeah.
So you'd watch this like dust up between two spooky monster superheroes.
Yeah.
And it would just be much more evocative and fun. And these words just hammer it into a very boring thing to read.
Do you think an 11-year-old kid in 1975 would be sitting in a treehouse and go, "What a ripoff! I read that in 2 minutes." Throw it out.
I don't know. I don't know, because I just don't think it was par for the course for many comics in general. But I think even in the wordier comics, there tends to be a little bit better of a balance.
Yeah.
This one's egregious.
It
Like
is.
panel 1, page 1, just every single one. And so's the giant, the other story.
Mm-hmm.
The other story is like reading the Black Pirate back matter in Watchmen. Like, or the Black
Tales
Freighter.
of
Like,
Black Freighter. Yeah.
yeah. It's like, but without any of the interesting things you'd want to read in that,
Yeah. No.
Yeah, but then he couldn't do that Stephen Foster thing when the sun's so hot I froze to death, or what does he say?
I don't remember.
Fire of ice. My veins.
Flames of ice.
Coursing through his
Ay.
veins like fires of ice. Yeah, God.
So on the next page, he's still hovering, tempted, and Martine says, "What's wrong?" And then he's starting to raise his head to bite. His fangs are bared. She says, "Why are you so tense? Are those plastic fangs in your pocket? Are you just happy to see me, Michael?" So he starts breaking out in a sweat. He manages to fight off this craving. He says, "I'm all right. I just need to clear my head. Let's go for a walk for a while." Like a weird, abusive couple. She's like, "Where are we going?" "Yeah, you can just skip all this. I'm skipping these narration boxes." So he's like, I don't know where we're going. They're stalking down the streets in front of Garrity's furniture. And meanwhile, we cut to the werewolf, who's mad. He's just fuming mad so far. The night had almost passed, and still the forest eluded him, hidden somewhere beyond this gritty jumble of concrete. Drink.
Third drink.
It's a drinky issue.
It is, thank God, because like you were saying, Brad, it's paced so slow for such a slight story, and it just seems to take for fucking ever.
And I just don't think the art is paced slowly. I think the art's actually really clear and good.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like Virgil's storytelling is really concise and crisp. It moves really well, and the narration just makes it plodding.
Yeah.
So the beast has been searching for the forest all night unsuccessfully, it says, which I thought was great. And then he just immediately runs into Morbius and Martine. And Martine's like, "Michael, what is it?" And he's like, "I don't know, Martine, but get behind me quickly before it decides to spring." And the beast just immediately attacks them, which again is kind of terrifying. Like he has no reason or rationale now. He is just a pure predator in this issue.
Like
there's
how
no
werewolves
Topaz.
should be.
Yeah, exactly. Now there's no Topaz or Lissa or Buck to kind of muddle up his mind and confuse him. He's just what he's supposed to be, which is just pure animal instinct.
And I like the addition of the animal not liking people just in general. I think that's good. That's a good thing to have. Very Jekyll Hyde sort of misanthropy just at its core. And just sort of nature's disgust with this primate. I like that in theory, and I like the deploying of the werewolf as like a scary thing. At least some of the time. God damn, like sometimes I'll read Werewolf by Night and be like, is he actually a werewolf? He's just kind of a guy who gets judo thrown a lot, gets a little bit more furry, runs into the woods.
Speaking of, it is literally the next panel because the werewolf springs at them and Morbius catches him with one foot in midair and judo flips him over the side. So
that's a drink.
Number 4.
I might need to actually reload if there's any more I forgot. So
there is.
You might go to the hospital at this pace.
I had something I wanted to share about this, but I forgot what it was.
Poor Matt, his liver took him out. Oh, what happened? Oh, he read Giant Size Werewolf by Night.
Well, I was going to say, I almost asked if we should have a drink when Martine saw a werewolf 5 feet away and said, "What is it?" And the living vampire said, "I don't know, but get behind me." But I was like, you know what? There's enough drinks in this issue. I'm not going to press that.
There is. So yeah, Jack kind of jumps up, or the beast jumps up and gets ready to fight. And again, so much narration that is totally unnecessary. We don't even have to talk
for
about
a fight scene.
For a fight scene, it's really wordy.
Yeah. So on the next page, after the beast has, what does he do? Oh, he swipes at Morbius. So Morbius is leaning over, holding his face in pain. And Martine's like, no, don't you do that. Like hitting him with an umbrella. And, you men. And again, I love the way that Redondo draws the beast, like with these really long pointy ears. He looks doggish. And he doesn't have that pompadour that Perlin does, where it's like Brill cream hair. Like, Elvis, like he's actually like slicked back. Like, it looks like the way a dog, fur has a coat and a grain, like the way it goes. So once Morbius sees Martine in the beast arms or whatever, he freaks out, attacks, and the problem is he's straddling the beast and getting ready to attack, but the beast notices the sun's coming up. And Morbius at that point says, fuck it, I'm not going to hold back on this thirst anymore, because he will not be twice denied in one night.
That's right. He's already felt the lust when he got close to Martine's neck. And so, yeah, this was a little shocking to me, because on the next page, those first 3 panels, he's bitten the beast in the neck. He's draining the beast. And as he's draining, the beast is changing. And so it's actually a really cool transformation scene. I thought it was awesome. Like, this is one of the best. I've called the art workmanlike in the beginning, but you know what? The art is actually really good in this issue.
I really liked it.
Just because it's simple doesn't.
In the storytelling sense, absolutely.
That's
like
great.
It may not be like the flashiest, coolest designs and everything, but in a storytelling sense, the artwork is it's very clear, like you were saying, very clear, very good. Like the transformations, the character beats are clear. Like you see characters making decisions visually in their heads.
And I didn't think about this, but he's drawing like a writer.
Yeah.
And he is a writer. Like that's his GCD and his whole career. The majority of it was writing. And so then I think that shows.
Munch spills 60 cans of alphabet cereal or boxes of alphabet cereal all over the page. This will probably be my longest aside. Here we've reached another thing where the little kid in me has the like almost overwhelming excitement over what these possibilities could be. And this happens to me a lot. I call it the Billy situation. The reason why I call it that is because of the first Predator movie. When I was a little kid and I saw Predator and they're building up Billy as like the baddest motherfucker on the planet. Like, it's like everybody's like, if Billy's freaking out, we should be scared. And Billy's, Sonny Landon, 9 foot tall fucking, he's Jason Momoa before Jason Momoa, Mm-hmm. He just looks so badass, and the Predator's so fucking scary and cool. And I'm watching that movie, and it's like Billy decides, I'm gonna stand up to this thing, I'm gonna take one for the team. Like, midway through the movie, he's not gonna beat the Predator. It's like, oh, he's gonna go sacrifice himself, right? And then it's like, but what you just know it's gonna be the dopest shit ever. And as a little kid, you're going, fuck yes, I can't wait to see this. And then they just cut away and he screams. That is haunted me my entire life. The reason why I bring it up here is here's another situation where I'm like, what is werewolf blood going to do to Morbius?
I know.
Yeah,
this
exactly.
Could be incredible. Are we going to get a Morbius the Living Werepire? Like this could be great or cool. I mean, we stumbled upon this last time I was on the show with some other element that I was like, is this really super sick thing going to happen? Sick thing does not happen. Is even considered. I would even have settled with it makes him sick. Yeah. Like, or it makes Jack a vampire.
Exactly.
Or does something to him. I'm like, oh, that would have been, how cool could any of these things? No, nothing. They Billy it. They just cut away.
And it's been established in previous issues, especially in the Carnival of Fear, that, werewolf blood is magic. Like, you can do cool shit with werewolf blood. It is not normal blood.
Well, it was established in that story that it's magic, and it was established in the Elfric, the monk story, that his bloodline is cursed, literally cursed, like on a physical level, that everyone who is of that line is cursed.
So
with lycanthropy.
Far be it for me to, I try to always avoid like doing what they should have done, but in my head is opening up this potential story for, especially for a giant size, where it's like, oh, I get it. Like he's gonna get bit by him, or he bites him, and then it's going to make Morbius, who's trying to appeal to this loved one, dangerous to her. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be Jack who has to, in classic Marvel fashion, team up with the guy, but first stop him to get him that. And then they both walk away going, I feel sorry for that cursed guy. And the other guy's saying about the other guy, I feel sorry for that cursed guy, with an understanding.
I completely agree with you, Ben. It's real quick. I don't think you're saying like, shoulda, coulda, woulda. I think this is actually negligence in writing to say, you take a goddamn vampire and a goddamn werewolf and have the one bite the other and suck its blood. Something is supposed to happen. Yeah. Like, I know very little in this world, but I know something was supposed to fucking happen.
And same with superhero comics. When the two people get together, like especially Marvel style, they tussle up, and then it is the responsibility of the Thing to then go and stop the Hulk from himself. You know what I mean?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he gets his ass handed to him in the process, like, or one or the other, none of that.
No, and the only thing that really happens, if we get down to the second row of panels, Jack is completely turned into his human form, and it genuinely scares Morbius. Like he says, how can this be? This isn't the creature that attacked me. And Martine's like, hey, we need to get the fuck out of here. Light's coming. We need to get you inside. People will be coming soon. And Morbius just keeps standing over him being like, who is he? How did he change? And he says, what have I done? So that's the only real reaction or, thing that actually happens after this cool vampire biting or werewolf thing. So, yeah, it's a letdown.
The other revelation to me, besides the fact that each transformation hurts more than the last, is in this first panel, it says that the change back into man hurts the beast too, which I didn't know. The agony induced by the sun. So, he always just kind of collapses and falls and then changes back. So I just thought it was kind of an exhaustion, like a giving up the ghost kind of thing, but it's not. It's painful birth as well.
Yeah, but why did Doug bury those cool thoughts in this epic narration?
Popcorn fart of a story. I don't know.
I know.
But I do love that he kind of just backs away from it too, like where it's like, I think I did a bad thing. I don't know.
Yeah, he
hit and run.
Like he's freaked out.
Yeah. And I thought the coloring choices were interesting on that transformation series on the top too, because it's nighttime, it's turning into day, but on the previous page, as he's just about to bite Jack, the background's yellow because the sun's coming up, but then the background's black and then baby blue and then purple. Interesting choices. I know Jack's saying that he sees a purple mist as his blood's being drawn out by Morbius. That makes sense, but the coloring choices by Warfield were interesting there.
Yeah, I like his colors. I think he's really solid.
Yeah.
Except for that flashback shit, which was weird.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah,
that was a misstep.
So the next page, we have a kind of a cool cityscape of a bunch of like steam in the morning light coming up. And they go to a shitty little hotel and Morbius is resting. Does he have to be out of the sun? Does he have like sensitivity to sun, I'm assuming? It's been a while since I've read Morbius stories.
Yeah, I mean, he's a vampire. He's just alive.
Would it kill him?
I don't know if it would kill him. No, but it
he fights Spider-Man in the daytime in his first appearance, doesn't he?
I thought so.
From what I believe, because he's a science vampire.
Yeah, he's not a science vampire. So it weakens him. It's not going to make him disintegrate.
I believe it just hurts his eyes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's not till later that it like he's like a bat. He's like nocturnal, but it's I don't believe it's like has damage to him, like because he's the living vampire.
He's a living. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, he wakes up from his nap towards the evening. And Martine says, hey, while you're sleeping, I found this key in my pocket. It's to a safety deposit box down by at the La Brea post office. So he's saying, we have 10 minutes to go until the sun sets. After that, we're going to unlock your amnesia and figure out what the heck happened to you.
So yeah, we have a funny actual Tiny MacGuffin, this weird little post office box key.
Fetch quest.
Yeah.
The post office.
And so, but on the next page, we completely shift gears. And I do like that this page opens with a really small, just black panel, which is Jack waking up in the hospital. But there's just these small words that says, "I see your eyes are struggling to open." The narration's like, "I heard the words dimly through a thick sheet of black glass, then more loudly as the glass cleared and vanished." And so Jack wakes up in the hospital, and we have yet another in this series of stories of a long-suffering nurse.
Yeah.
And is this Munch going like through a glass darkly?
Yeah.
No, you can't do that.
Yeah.
I gotta say, every issue I've been on here with you guys, barring I think one, has Jack escape from a hospital at some point.
No, a nurse
Right.
gets struck every issue that we have you on.
Yeah.
So, which
the nurse Anti-Defamation League sent us that letter, so we had to curtail that.
Yeah. But I do like it, and it was funny when you said that he was a couple pages ago when they were outside of Garrity's furniture store. I do like that it's very specific. She says, "You've been here since this morning. A Mr. Garrity brought you in."
That's somebody's no prize.
That is someone's no prize.
Donald Garrity wrote in and said, I noticed that you had the day, then night, then day again on one sequence.
Yeah. And so she says, the nurse says to him, "You've lost a lot of blood. Looked as though you've been bitten by a stray dog. The only way you can avoid getting rabies shots is if you can describe," and he cuts her off. He's just like, forget that. What time is it? And she's like, "Just after 6. He says, "Is it dark yet?" And she's like, "Just about, which reminds me, I might as well close those blinds." Then she looks outside and says, "Nice moon out there tonight, though. Say, you never did tell me who you are." And then she hears the growl behind her and is like, "Huh?"
I did like that.
I did too.
That was actually another one of my favorite. Actually, this whole sequence is one of my favorite parts of the whole issue.
It's great.
So she turns around to see what's growling, and it's the Beast. And he does not like that he has an IV in, so he's yanking that out of his arm. And he has a hospital gown on, which makes perfect sense. I'm not belittling the logic, but it's so cute.
It's so great.
Between that and when he drives a car, it's one of those things that's adorable to me. So he's misanthropic. So he dives over his bed after her. She screams, help somebody. And he just backhands her hard. Like
really
she
hard.
Goes ass over tea kettle, flip full 360. He goes out in the hallway. He's yanking off the hospital gown. He still has his green pants on though, so he's cool. And there's another nurse carrying meds, and she screams. There's just complete mayhem in this hallway at this hospital. And we neglected to mention that he has his neck wrapped up because he was bitten by Morbius. So his neck is wrapped in gauze, which becomes important later. So he still has tatters of like a hospital gown and some gauze trailing on like a mummy. And there's a guy going, "Hey, what in the..." And then he breaks through a glass, which did we make that a drinking thing? Did we finally break down and say every time he breaks through a pane of glass, we need a drink? I'm just going to have a drink anyway.
I'm going to have a drink anyways, but I think we curtailed that idea because it's sponsored by Big Glass. There's glass broken every issue, multiple times. But no, I'm with you. I'll drink to that.
It's been a couple issues, though. That's why I feel like we had to celebrate.
You guys aren't surviving this issue.
No.
So he busts through this giant hospital glass. Look out, he's berserk. And he splits.
Yeah, and I love how he splits in the next panel. It's like a series of leaps, like cute little leaps outside of Ravenswood General Hospital, which I'm sure is a well-known LA hospital.
Yep. Brad donates plasma there twice a month.
And so he runs. I actually really like that second panel. Like, God, Virgil has some great depictions of the Beast. Just the way that he's kind of loping through the street. It's in the moon is colored red in the digital version. Is it in the print, Matt?
Yes. But he also, in that same panel, he has that McFarlane Spider-Man thing where it's like your body doesn't go that way, which makes it so much cool.
Oh, it's so cool. Like, it's so badass. And then we get the bottom panels, I think are probably one of the most boring things Morbius has ever done. Even though he breaks through a window to do it, but he's basically just going to the post office. And Brad, this is the one sequence that is wordless. Like this
Yeah.
is something. The
Thank
most
God.
boring sequence has no words, and it's
I
actually
exhaled.
really great. Yeah, it's great storytelling though. Like
The
just from
restraint
the
too for him to not have to go to the library and then the Hall of Records. You know how you want your comic books to be your werewolf versus vampire comic, where it's like, quick, let's do a stop at the DMV.
Yeah, even though, I was laughing at those bottom 4 small panels, but then I was just like, oh, that's actually like you could use this in a class on how to teach storytelling. Like it's so cool. We see his face in the first one, then it's just his hand and a key. I don't know. I really liked it. Like there's a few of those sequences in here.
Yeah.
That are so simple and perfect.
That's why I've been harping on that point. I mean, because it's like I've said, it's true of a lot of these older comics, but this one in particular just struck me as one that, like, the quality level would be really cracking. If it was just the dialogue, it'd almost be mysterious because you'd have Morbius coming down, going, "It's me, it's Michael," or it's Morbius. Excuse me, it's me, it's Morbius.
Come on.
I was like, what the hell was he talking about?
And then you'd have that little scary scene, and it's like, oh, this would be paced like a thriller and a horror movie, like the scene with him and the nurse and stuff like that. Like you just have these little sequences of characters making decisions visually and doing stuff visually with like minimal dialogue between the 3 characters that speak any dialogue, and then 2 fights. And it would be like, okay, well, it's still a slight story, but it delivers and it's compelling and atmospheric.
I think this shows that he has Redondo blood. Like they're known for just their fluid visual storytelling, and it really shines through in this.
Yeah, it's coming through grimy, opaque, word-stained glass, but
but
you can
just
still
the fact
see
that
it.
it's still coming through is amazing.
Yeah, this sequence was a welcome relief for the eyes.
Yeah.
Because you just got to let comics, do what comics do. And you get to do the show, don't tell, because show and tell is for kindergarten, which is what Munch has been doing this whole issue.
Yeah, the artist has shown, and Munch just has to tell.
Yep.
Yeah.
The next page, we get a little more of that wordlessness, which is nice. There's a document inside the post office box that Morbius is looking at, and then he's shocked. Martine is standing outside, and she checks her watch because it's taking a while for him to come out, and then he comes gliding out of the broken window with this sheet. She's like, well, what was it? And he says, this was the cure. This is it. I can tell by the characters on here, this is a complicated chemical formula that is related to what I'm doing. This is my cure. We found it. I just need time to work on it.
Yeah, I like that there. It says
quasi-vampirism.
Yeah, the quasi-vampirism. That's what I loved. I love that those are the last two words of that page. And then, we just go right to the next page. Morbius and Martine are trying to figure out, who could have put that formula in the P.O. box. Like maybe it was Damon or the caretakers, but Morbius says it doesn't really matter at this point because this formula is going to cure him and he can be with Martine again. And so, he seems pretty excited about this. And
you guys all know what that means, right?
Yeah.
Be with Martine.
Yeah, be with.
Gonna give her the good hurt.
Yeah. So the bottom 3 panels, again, I laughed really hard at this because he still has his bandages around his neck, but now it's like a jaunty scarf, or more like a Dylan Thomas scarf.
Pablo Picasso.
It is. It's not jaunty. He is a serious artist, and the depiction of the beast in these 3 panels is great. He's I don't know if would you say he's more lupine or cat-like in that first one? It's great. Bottom line, the werewolf always looks like a monster in this issue. He doesn't
he looks like Shere Khan in that first one.
He looks like he's fucking terrifying.
And to Monk's credit, he behaves like one in this one too.
Yeah,
he does. It's great. You're right. It's a welcome relief from the main title.
I love that he passes by the post office broken window and you get to see him sniffing. And I didn't think that Redondo needed to add the little bubbles indicating that there's a spore of smell that he's smelling, because you see the vibration things around his nose. He's sniffing. Yeah. And Munch isn't going to let that pass. He's going to tell you.
No, he's not.
He sniffed something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and he was determined that it would halt in a congealing pool of bright blood. I love just how fucking go for broke he is in this. And he's just angry.
And I know you love it when the beast, actually tracks something.
Yes, I do. I'm a big fan of that. Martine and Morbius are walking by the La Brea tar pits. You see the reconstructed skeleton of a giant sloth. I haven't been there since I was a kid. I'm assuming that's what that actually looks like. Have you been there, Brad?
Yeah, when I was a kid as well. Yeah.
I've never been. It's
a fat burger now, I'm sure. So he's saying, besides other than a huge dose of horror, I haven't got much to lose, which I love. It's just like, she's like saying, can you trust this formula? Do you think it's safe? And he's like, eh. So the beast just comes bounding in, tracking them with his bandage trailing behind, and he lunges. Morbius pushes Martine down, so the wolf just sails over them, and Morbius gives him a chance. He says, leave us before the thirst once again overcomes me. I know you're human and innocent, so you must understand me. There's no need to, but too late. He's lunged, and he's jumped onto Morbius, and he's growling and grappling.
Yeah, I like that he almost just, takes a hold of him with his legs too. Like he just totally jumps on him with all.
Yeah, he's wrapped his legs around his torso.
It's quite an attack.
And he has shorts on now somehow.
Yeah, like clean
which I did not
shorts,
realize until just now.
Like not tatters, but just actual shorts from this point on.
Is that what happens when you get exsanguinated and they go to the ER? They cut your pants off to shorts, and then they patch your neck up and give you a blood transfusion?
Yeah, it's a thing. You just get your pants cut to shorts.
I think it's just summer months and he's just feeling Geordie.
Yeah. So doesn't want to waste the pants. They're a little ripped and frayed, but they'll make good shorts.
So on the next page, they're still grappling with each other, and the beast tears at Morbius, actually at Morbius's badass costume. And the piece of paper with the formula starts to blow away from them. Morbius is like, no, the formula. And then he says, you fool, and kind of like smacks the werewolf away, and then kind of like starts to jump for the piece of paper as it's floating away. And he's like, oh, I can't let it. But then the beast comes back and just tackles him. They kind of fall onto the railing over a tar pit. It says the werewolf had been on target this time, even if he hadn't calculated the consequences of the resultant impact and momentum. And so, the piece of paper with the formula flies away from Morbius, and he screams, "No!"
Right through his fingers.
Yep.
I never knew where Morbius's law, that expression, came from, but it's this.
Yeah. Well, it's in a weird way, it's like the dog ate his homework.
Wow. There you go.
So they continue to flip over the railing down into the area where the tar pits are and land on their backs. Whomp.
Yeah.
And the beast, in this great panel, this is one of my favorite panels actually, picks up Morbius over his head because it reminds us that he has much like a bird, almost weightless bones. And there's that red moon in the background. The beast is almost all in shadow as he's picking him up, and then he throws him into that sloth reconstructed skeleton and chases after him. Megatherium, I guess is what the giant sloth is called. And that kind of shook some of the bones loose when Morbius hit that. So he picks up one of the loose bones and thrack, hits the wolf as hard as he can in the head.
Beating the shit out of a werewolf with a prehistoric sloth bone.
Yeah, like that's the one bit of bananas that we got.
And that's how he beats him.
Yeah, he does.
He kicks the living shit out of him with that.
He totally does,
or whatever.
Like, on the next page, he just is and while he's beating on him with this bone, he's also taking the bandages, his bandage scarf, and strangling him with this thing as he's beating him with this bone. Like, he has lost his shit. Like, he's going total berserker at this point. And the narration for the beast is like, and then I felt my throat choke itself, another explosion of stars, numbly a brutal blow to my gut. And then Morbius kicks him right in the gut and sends him flying into one of the tar pits, which Doug describes in detail taking up half of a panel, talking about, the fossilized remains of many a prehistoric mammal have been dredged from the tar, now to adorn ghoulish exhibits of bestial stupidity. That was necessary.
Just call it a car, Doug. Like, it's, the metal construction of thousands of years of human ingenuity rips down this. It's a car.
Horseless carriage.
The car. The car.
I'm sorry, dereliction of duty here. The Beast body slammed somebody, and when that happens in a comic book, we have a drink.
Okay. All right. This is finishing my shot off here.
My wife brought me a refill. That's how much this issue's killing my liver.
Yeah, so the Beast is totally just in the tar pit now. And Morbius is about to finish him off, even though I love that bottom left panel where even though Morbius is above him and just about to crack the Beast on his fucking dome, and the Beast is still just like, come at me. He's just so angry and just ready to fight still. And he's like 3/4 engulfed in tar. And then, Doug says in the narration, but once again, the woman intervened in his struggle with this new foe. And Martine's behind him saying, don't, Michael, what will killing him accomplish?
I just want to, she has way too little context to be so concerned. She should be like, please beat that werewolf's ass to death. It's a werewolf that's attacking us.
She saw him as a 20-year-old kid.
She did mention that she's like, he's just a kid.
That's a good point.
Yeah. All right.
So on the next page, they decide to talk.
So instead, we'll just let him drown in the tar pit. Right? Isn't that?
No, she's not getting a stick to pull him out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's this very desperate plea to Michael Morbius's humanity. He says, I don't want to let him live with the formula. It's gone. And, all this because of senseless violence. It's just, but think, Michael, why did you want the formula so desperately? Why did you treasure it? Because it meant an end to murder, an end to this enforced spree of violence and death. No one can blame you for succumbing to what you've become, for submitting to the thirst. But why kill him, Michael? You can't drink his blood. What? Kill him and you'll be murdering for vengeance. So I guess she's not saying you can't physically drink his blood. She's saying you can't morally drink his blood because whatever. So in that first panel there, while she's lecturing him about his humanity, the Beast looks like a 2-year-old who is standing in a kiddie pool with his arms up like, Mama, Dada, come get me out, which is the cutest goddamn thing ever. He still has that goddamn bandage around his neck, by the way. She continues saying, he's more than innocent, Michael. He's a victim, just like you. A victim of a hideous existence he neither wants nor controls. Kill him, Michael, and you'll kill my love. Oof. And then we get another nice goddamned break from words where he drops the bone plap into the tar pit. And there's this really nice panel of him walking off out of the park into the woods or whatever, back to the street. And she's looking after him in the foreground, which I think is one of my favorite panels of the whole thing.
It's gorgeous.
And then we see her go to the flagpole, unroll some of the rope and throw it to the Beast and leave. And then we get this final panel. Before that, we see the Beast starting to pull himself up slowly out of the tar. And the last panel says, epilogue, the werewolf was free. And we see the page that has the biochemical formula on it and a tar pit werewolf footprint stepped over it. And it says, others were still trapped. So while the Beast is free from the tar, Michael Morbius is still trapped in his quasi-vampiric life.
I like this fight because I also just love the idea that he beats his ass with a dinosaur bone.
It's awesome.
So fucking
It's a
cool.
highlight.
Yeah,
it definitely is.
I also think it's a funny thing to be like that. This title's called Giant Size Werewolf, and in this issue, Morbius just shows up and kicks the crap out of him in his own title. I
mean, he's a vampire, but hollow bones.
Yeah, I mean he dusts him twice.
He does.
Normally, the Marvel fashion is to have like a draw, or to have somebody kind of win and then come back and win one, or
not in Werewolf by Night. You know better than that.
Yeah.
Morbius just, I liked it. I liked that last fight though. I thought it was fine. Again, the artwork's good, and there's a lot to love that in the 12-year-old sense of the word, where you just like, this is a werewolf and a vampire fighting with a dinosaur bone. I'm in, you know?
It's a really strong ending. That last sequence in particular, the last page is really good.
Yeah.
And it makes up for the fact that if it didn't end that way, I'd be saying like, shouldn't this be continuing? Like why is this is a letdown, but it ends solidly. So I forgive it.
Yeah. I feel like we're already getting into final thoughts here, but, especially after going through this with you guys, it just hit the point home that the panels without any dialogue or any narration are fucking masterful. That's my favorite part of this issue. Every time where we get 4 or 5 in a row with just the illustration, just the pictures, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, if you look how effective each little, as bad as the story is and how slight it is, like if you look how effective of like you're in the alleyway and he's changing into the beast, you know? At the very beginning.
Yeah.
It's so clear what's happening and why.
Cold open.
Yeah. And then there's the moment where he's gonna bite him and doesn't, or gonna bite her and doesn't. Morbius is gonna bite Martine and doesn't. That's very clear. You see the character make a decision. All these little beats are laid out. And it's like, this one really struck me as like just tremendously suffering from to such a degree that I was like, this was a drag. You know?
Yeah. So can I ask you guys? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I wanted to ask you guys, like, from what you know of the industry and how Marvel worked at this time, how likely would it be for Ween to step in and say something to Munch? Like, look, the writing's great, but Redondo's work is great as well. And I really think that you guys would both elevate this piece by pulling some of your stuff back here. Would that ever have happened in the 70s?
Yes, I just don't think Len had the time. This is Len was a notoriously overwhelmed editor. Like everybody post Stan Lee when they started to edit the titles was just like, it just can't be done.
Yeah.
Especially at this point, you know, I mean, there's so many titles. And to answer your question, Matt, I think that Len would do that on the main title, but I think he's not giving a shit about Giant Size. This is a cash grab.
Yeah.
I mean, these aren't obviously, we can tell from the quality of the stories of the Giant Size, but I think editorial oversight on these Giant Size issues is as slight as the story.
Okay. Yeah. So that's like, you know, the Kinks, you really got me, right? Then they get signed to like, let's do an album. And they're like, we don't trust you enough to have your drummer play. So we're going to hire a drummer to come in and just fill out an album. Yeah. It's that level of like involvement. Like, we're just here to cash in while the song's hot. Like,
I think
while kids are willing to pay 60 cents or whatever this was, that's all we're doing.
Yeah, I think they were always sort of interested in dipping their toes in different formats because that could be put in different areas due to their publication restrictions, like who's distributing them and where they could distribute and what qualified as what, you know. And so I feel like wherever they could add a title, they did, and they just did that. Because remember, they were restricted to the amount of titles they could have.
Well, not as much at this point, I think. I mean, they're really...
where you're still talking about not that many that they're allowed more of, because they're still using DC at this point.
I don't know. I mean, this is 1970. What?
Five.
I don't know. I think they're out of the Cadence distribution deal. I think they're on to something else now. They're putting out quite a few titles by 75.
Okay, word. And then, but that was sort of what was going to drive me to my next thing. Regardless, is that they never solved how to edit a volume of titles.
No, they never did.
They just launched them into a crazy situation. I don't that history of that thing we bring up all the time, the untold history of Marvel Comics. There's not one editor in the 70s who's like, loved it. What a great thing to do. They were all, every single one of them is basically like, I nearly lost my mind.
And then you have someone like Jerry Conway who lasted like 3 months. I think. And he's the smart one out of them. He's like, oh, no, this is a thankless, terrible job that you're destined to fail at. Because you just, well, I think especially in Sean Howe's book, it talks about how at that point it was really hard to rein in these writer artists too that had their own little fiefdoms, you know, where they were editing the books that they were writing. And so it was really hard to kind of manage all these big talents and big personalities who had their own little domains and didn't really want to listen to what you had to fucking say to them. So yeah, it was an impossible job.
Can you either of you speculate on why they went the giant size route instead of doing a Curtis magazine that was a little more mature and a little more violent with this title?
I think because Morbius is a Spider-Man character.
No, I mean just giant size werewolf in general.
Oh, giant size werewolf.
I think giant size in general, like the magazines are, you can say they're for a more mature audience, but giant size in general is a cash grab for 11-year-old kids. It's just trying to get their 2 quarters.
Okay. So it's just,
They're all cash grabs.
Yeah.
Dude, when do these come out usually, the giant size? Like
they're quarterly?
Quarterly word. So they're not like, okay, Christmas is coming up. Make sure we got some giant sizes coming out. Or school's about to end, so make sure we've got some giant size ones coming out, But yeah, that makes sense.
Especially with this story, I almost think like what you were saying in the beginning, Matt, that this was maybe like a repurposed Morbius story or something to where, none of the supporting cast of Werewolf by Night show up at all. Jack Russell himself is more of an afterthought in this issue. So yeah, this is a particularly strange lead-off story to a giant-sized werewolf.
Yeah, if Munch hadn't written it, I would have completely been convinced it was a Morbius story that was repurposed for giant size.
Yeah, totally.
And this is the first of 2, and I know you guys are covering that next one next week, but I straight up hated the next one. The one I'm not going to cover. I'm just throwing that out there.
Really? Okay. Well, you'll hear.
You'll be surprised by. I think I really like this.
We found some fun stuff about it. I'm not saying.
I'm sure
neither of us are going to say it's good, but there's some cool, fun stuff in there.
It is also so
wordy.
Fucking wordy.
It's very wordy. It's very wordy. But so the next story we're also going to get a Filipino artist, Young Montano.
Yeah. Oh, and I like the art.
The art is great, and he's another of the Philippine artists that I really, really like.
And another one where if you just completely stripped everything but dialogue, it probably is a cracking yarn.
Yeah, so cool.
Yeah,
I was hoping you'd like that one though, because the stuntman's named Brad. It's about filmmaking. He's
a badass
Spawn Ranch
named Brad,
and it is Spawn Ranch means like weird tales.
It's a stuntman turned Satanist, Brad. How can you not like that?
It's just so wordy. It even makes this issue look brief, like with how wordy it is versus what's on the page. Like it was really.
Fuck, you are right. Holy shit! I didn't.
No,
know
it is. You're not wrong. But I think blown away by it. Matt and I liked the Satanist / Lovecraftian parts of the story. I think elevated it enough for us that we enjoyed it.
Yep.
See, and this one elevates it, in my opinion, above the next one because at some point a vampire picks up a dinosaur bone and whacks a werewolf in the head with it,
and leaves him to die in a tar pit.
Leaves him to die in a tar pit, which is just great. It's just groovy,
Oh boy. Weremail?
Weremail.
I thought they'd changed the name for the giant size, but still Weremail by Night. Okay, so I have not previewed this one. I read the first page. They're padding. So let's see what we got here.
Going in cold, huh?
Yep.
Wow.
Dear Doug, Don, and crew, Giant Size Werewolf number 3 was a really fine ish. With the return, permanent, of Topaz and some more revelations about the history of the Russoffs, most of my wishes have been fulfilled. I want to congratulate Doug and Don for upgrading the mag in the recent issues since they've taken over. After months of writing you, giving my best constructive criticisms, you have completely turned the book around so that I am now actually relishing each and every new issue. Oh, there's a very bold implication there, isn't there?
God.
I'm glad that my likes and desires about the strip have coincided with what you had in store. Writing a letter of praise is so much more fun than telling you what you're doing that I don't care for. Anyway, Topaz is of course great, and I'm ever so glad to see her back in the book again. Hopefully her return will herald some more sorceress and weirdo adventures for Jack. Hear, hear. The revealing of the old gypsy woman as Jack's grandmother was fabulous. In itself, it wasn't too great an idea, but to give all those beautiful background reasons, which is great. My personal ideas about what I like best in the book, and thereby those that I would like to see followed, are the following. 1. Keep Topaz and possibly get something going between her and Jack. 2. Retain a strong link with Jack's family history. Okay, we're in agreement so far. 3. Play up the Jack-Buck relationship. Okay, this guy's not stupid.
No.
4. Have the bad guys as real weirdos, such as the early foes. 5. Try to avoid Transylvania. In addition to this, you had better come up with... In addition to this, you had better come up with a very good means to prevent Lissa from becoming a werewolf for good. Not that I would object to her becoming one, but I don't think you want to add another lycanthrope to the series. One other explanation about why I prefer not to have many stories based in Transylvania. 1. Wow, enumerations.
Wow, this guy.
We readers aren't familiar with the area, so it wouldn't be as effective as an identifiable place. 2, the craze-filled mob of villagers is too overused. And
I
3,
am, however, familiar with Asgard. That's what makes Thor very appealing to me.
And 3, a Transylvania setting is too cliched to work well enough. Finally, Dawn, your art. I'm sorry to say that I don't really like your version of the werewolf, and Sal Trapani didn't do it much good either. I did like the cross-page use of panels on page 2 and 3, though. Well, thanks again. Dean Mulaney, Staten Island, New York.
Okay, real quick.
Yes.
I'm glad the internet did not exist back then, because it's guys like Dean who would go on to ruin the fucking world in the present day. You know,
Twitter, specifically.
Twitter, just bitch and moan and like feel entitled to what's going on. Like, what in the enumerating the thing is just twice. He has 2 different ones.
2 enumerated lists. I really like
the restraint it took him not to start with 1, 2, 3, and then the next one be A, B, C. You know,
I love like, he just said, "I wrote you guys telling you what I wanted, and then the book got good." So
that's what I was saying.
I'll let you connect those dots.
Oh my God. Yeah. You know that he's reading this is like, of course they listen to me. They showed this to Stan Lee himself, obviously.
Yeah. Do you know how many signatures we had for George Lucas, Jacob? Do you have any idea?
What a hell of a ride that letter is.
Yeah.
Here's Len Wein's response. We've brought Wolfie's brother, the Frankenstein monster, into the 70s for the very reasons you've mentioned. It's hard to identify with, or fear, someone who you don't believe can jump out from behind a tree and go boo. And since we're writing this on good old Halloween itself, we can tell you that it's happened a goodly number of times tonight already. Also, Dean, there is reason to rejoice, because Topaz is here to stay, at least temporarily.
Nothing, Len, about maybe defending Don a little bit there?
I know.
I'd be like, listen, you pompous little shit. Like, lay up Don Perlin's, my God.
I feel like we were pretty, loose with like people criticizing Perlin when the switch happened. But, in the subsequent months, it's like people turned around. I mean, at least editorial said that as well. Like we've gotten sacks of mail saying wasn't feeling Perlin as much, but I think it was a Plug break more than it was a Perlin thing.
Well, and it's a Coletta thing. Once Coletta stopped inking, everyone was like, holy shit, this guy's amazing.
True. There was that famous month of letters, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah. And comics like are so new, or I guess not new, like superhero comics and the monthlies are new enough to where I think audiences were extremely protective of I don't want change.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, because like Fantastic Four goes from not existing at all to Kirby and Lee doing it for 100 and some issues or whatever it is, right?
Yeah, right.
And it's kind of like that with a lot of titles, like to the point where they were terrified of moving a new artist on when somebody left. So I guess I kind of get that, like, hey, that's not supposed to happen in comics. But this guy's just an ass.
Agreed.
So the good news, Jacob, is there's no letter next week because we just have that story.
That's okay. I'm fine with that if that's all we're gonna get, giant size wise.
Or I could pick another letter.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of like it sometimes when we don't have wear mail.
I feel like you need another letter. We'll decide.
You know me so well.
We'll let the fates decide with a coin toss.
Depends on how many judo throws are in the next issue.
Yeah, that's true.
How you're feeling when you get there.
We'll see.
So let's talk about some other comics. Brad, has anything flipped your wig lately?
No, just Not really. Haven't been reading as much. I think last time I was here, I mentioned Headlopper. I liked that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm now at the point where I've paced up with the comics. I'm waiting for the last issue, where it might have just came out of this newest arc. Other than that, no, I don't really have any media recs on hand that are anything that would blow anybody's mind or be novel enough. It's sort of like, have you guys seen The Road Warrior? It's really bitching. Like, it's nothing that's like really current that I'm all about, Well,
hey, I had some sympathetic or empathic joy just seeing you post about the fact that you bought tickets to see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Dazed and Confused, I think, in a theater, now that you're fully vaxxed up. So
amazing.
I was doing this, celebrating at home. Huzzah, huzzah, Excelsior for you.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I basically have on in the background all the time, too. It's just such comfort food for me. That was I really liked that movie. But it'll be my first time back in a theater in well over a year. Because even before the pandemic, I hadn't been to a theater in a couple months because there was just nothing I wanted to see in that zone, of January to March, right?
Yeah.
So it was probably the December of the 2019 that I think was the last time I was in a theater watching a movie. Oh, wow. So I will be stoked to go to the New Bev of all places, which is a lovely experience.
Yeah,
you guys
love to go there.
Yeah, it's really cool. And get a hot dog and watch that movie in particular. And if I can swing the tickets when they release them, because Dazed and Confused is my favorite movie, that would be quite a lovely experience to see that on the 12th. I don't know if I'll be able to get that, but I would love to. I've seen Dazed and Confused at the New Bev before, actually.
Okay.
But I could watch that movie every night at the New Bev, and I could watch that movie all the time. And I'm usually watching that movie in my head just when I'm at Idle.
Yeah. Jacob, I just saw, I think last weekend, I believe it's called the Mahoning Drive-In, and somewhere in the Northeast part of the country, they just had a Lynch Fest, and they screened, 2 days worth of Lynch films. And
oh my God,
Rebecca Del Rio did come and sing just like that, whatever, cool. after Mulholland Drive. So that is happening again. I think they're booking that. So hopefully at some point we can go to a drive-in and see it or something. I don't know.
Oh God, that would be great. I can't wait to go to the Hollywood Theater again. Holy shit.
I know, man.
What was the last thing you and I saw there? Because I think that was the last movie I saw. I was trying to remember, because you and I go to the Hollywood quite a bit together. And
yeah,
I was trying to remember. The last movie I saw was it was their Silent Sunday or whatever, where they have the guy play the pipe organ, and it was The Last Command.
Oh, I didn't go to that one. I usually go to all the silent films. Huh. The last thing I saw was there, and it was 1917. Oh, that's and while it was an interesting spectacle to behold, I didn't really care for it as a film as much.
Yeah.
I think the last thing you and I saw together was a film that Ed Wood wrote and sold, and was a nudie Western.
That was so awesome. That was a lot of fun.
It was either that or B-Movie Bingo, which I really do miss,
God.
even though it's
I cannot wait to
mess.
I can't wait to go to B-Movie Bingo again. That's some of the most
It's going to be nice doing stuff and things again.
Yes.
It's going to be, I am so stoked to just do things of any kind.
Yeah, I know
it's interesting. Like all of us, I think we got our second shot right around the same time. So it's really next week for all of us is the total safe date. And so I can't fucking wait.
Yeah. I am.
And I'm a beta cuck. I don't mind wearing a mask if somebody wants me to wear a mask,
No, I don't give a shit at all. That's totally, it's totally.
I can't imagine why anybody would ever consider it a big deal.
They do.
I know. Yeah. I mean, geez, it's not.
Apparently it's like Auschwitz or something.
Yeah,
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna keep that mask going. I'm not worried about it. I actually think it's a good idea during flu season in particular.
Yeah, my wife works at Kaiser Permanente. Do you know how many flu cases she saw this year?
I do not.
Big fat goose egg.
Yeah,
one case of flu that somebody came in for to the clinic.
I just feel like it's like this is not unheard of to operate this way. Plenty of other countries do it. And I just don't see it as a big deal. Just let me go do stuff again. God damn it.
Yeah. My penis is still there. If I have a mask on or I don't, I'm not that easily emasculated.
Mine disappears when I put the mask on. But,
but it's in a cupboard somewhere safe.
It's in a safe dimension.
Look at a pocket dimension.
Pocket dimension.
Dormammu.
Yeah.
I started an interesting series. It's on Shudder, but I guess it's also on the CW app. Have you guys heard of Trickster?
Nope.
Came out this year. It's 6 episodes. I think it's Canadian, but it's about this kid. Does Canada have reservations like we do, or do you know? This is very much like a reservation that this kid lives on, and he cooks Molly, and he sells it from the drive-through window of this chicken place he works at. But it's all set up like it reminds me of American Gods, but just with Native American mythos. And he's like this chosen kid, and you get this very strange intro to the first episode where his mom is protecting him from being taken away by this character, and these just mythic things start to show up, a raven and some kind of shape-shifting things, and it gets very strange. But he has a very kind of life where his parents are separated. There's some substance abuse. His life's not very joyful, but seeing all this cool mythos of Native American and indigenous peoples bubbling up through it and starting to peek its head out in the first episode was really cool. So
that sounds neat. That sounds pretty interesting, actually.
Yeah, I'm into it. So it's only 6 episodes.
It's up my alley.
Not a big investment, but I like the first episode.
I'll check it out.
I'm actually learning Lakota right now.
Really?
Very slowly and painfully, yeah.
Interesting.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Got to keep the brain sharp.
Yeah.
No better way to learn another language, I guess.
That's probably the best way. What about you, Jacob? Have you watched anything good or read anything good?
Well, the last week, I kind of was stuck in Morbius land a little bit in the evenings when I was reading, which was a lot of fun. Like I said, I enjoyed the majority of it, even that, Sons of the Darkhold and all that 90s weirdness was still
Midnight Suns is just a blast.
It was really crazy.
It's just goofy 90s fun. You can taste the Slurpee as you read it.
I always forget that Johnny Blaze and Ghost Rider are separated at that time and both like leather clad.
Johnny Blaze is literally Lorenzo Lamas in Renegade by that point.
He really is. A haircut and everything.
It's the duster, the whole thing, and it's the Ghost Rider, Danny Ketch, who, as you guys both know, I just don't like that guy.
Yep. I know.
Well, Jacob, I've been compiling some of those Werewolf by Night, the post-series stuff into a digital omnibus, and the early 90s stuff is painful. There's he appears in Marvel Presents, which was like 4 ongoing stories, for like 4 or 5 issues, and a wrap, and they bring in somebody else. And Wolverine was almost always in every single, one.
I remember those.
But there's one like Curse of the Brain Eaters or something like that, some kind of like satanic cult preying on children. But Jack is very he has a strawberry blonde mullet, and he needs to shave, and he has sunglasses on and a leather duster. It's just like, God, did anybody escape that early 90s?
No, they didn't. No, so I like I said in the beginning, I really liked Joe Keating's run of Morbius from 2013. It made me want to go back and reread his series Ringside. Did either of you guys check that out? It was it's about the professional wrestling industry and kind of its seedy underbelly, and it's fucking awesome. I loved it. And a lot of people complained because it doesn't contain a lot of actual wrestling, but it's more just these stories behind the scenes, and I just loved it. And it was a series that flew under the radar a little bit. The art's by Nick Barber, and I have all the single issues, and so I'm going to go back and check those out. I've been really into Joe Keating a lot lately.
That sounds cool.
Actually, that sounds really dope, actually.
That's like when somebody tried to sue the makers of Drive because there wasn't enough driving in it.
Yeah, I know.
That happened. That actually
that
happened.
actually happened.
That was a thing that I remember
God.
living through. Was like, this was marketed to me as a movie with a ton of driving, and it was like that weird backlash. We really need to just get rid of the internet. It just needs to go away.
Do.
Yeah, we've gotten all we can out of it. Like, it's done. Like, we're going to be so much better off without it.
Do you want to tell people about our email address and like how they can earn some pins or buttons?
Sure. Yeah, we'd love to hear from anyone with recommendations. We're always looking for new things to watch and read, because we watch and read a lot of stuff, so we need help sometimes. And you can contact us at werewolfbynightpodcast@gmail.com. And like we say at the end, normally we can use your reviews on whatever podcast platform you listen on. Give us a review, take a screenshot of it. We'll send you some buttons. It's buttons made from actual issues of Werewolf by Night. They look really cool, and I would love to send you some.
I could attest they are super dope.
And they're guaranteed to go up in value, by the way.
Absolutely.
They're like Ronald Reagan plates. Brad, thank you so much for joining us to talk about this
thanks.
Morbius story that was complicated and troubled, but ultimately some fun.
I think the conclusions that we drew actually made me appreciate it more, but it was definitely a thing of like appreciating the art more than Doug's writing. And I do think Doug Munch is a good writer too, by the way, overall. Yeah.
I agree.
But thanks for having me on. It was as always, it's a shame that at some point there's no more Werewolf by Night for you all to cover.
I know.
I agree. We're looking down the barrel at the last of the run here. So we hope to have you back a couple more times before we're done.
My pleasure. Would be my pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us this week, listeners. Till we meet again, meet the full moon, furry ones. Here's howling at ya.